What's going on, guys? It's Charr here, back with another video, and this may be one of my most unhinged videos yet. If you couldn't tell by the title, we are going to be reading through basically the entirety of the rule reference. I probably won't say every single word in the document, but the idea is I have never actually reviewed this or taken a look at it even one time. I've referenced it here and there for certain rulings. But, the more I play this game, it's kind of like the Dunning-Kruger. The more I play this game, the more that I realize that I don't really know how a ton of rules or interactions actually play out. And the goal isn't necessarily for me to understand every single ruling and every single interaction, but to maybe give me some clarity on things that I kind of guess on multiple times. Things like indirect damage, I'm not super clear on. And there's like other like areas of the game where like kind of through osmosis and watching people play, I have made these educated guesses on how things resolve. And this might hopefully help clear that up. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a twist to the video, as you can tell. A lot of videos I used to watch, like on YouTube, kind of like in my teenage years, would be like this video, but when this happens, the video speeds up. I thought it'd be really funny to apply it to a Marvel Champions rules reference reading. Every time I don't know a rule, this video is going to speed up. Now, it's probably going to be very minor because if it was major, the video would probably be like maybe 20 minutes. It'd be like insanely fast at the end because there's going to be a lot of rules I can understand that I probably do not know. That being said, if you want to watch the full unedited thing as like a podcast, you want to hear someone talk through the rules, maybe hear my epiphanies, the actual video will be uploaded without any speed ups, probably as an unlisted video and linked in the description of this. Let me know if you guys enjoy that or prefer that version. I thought this would be funny and sort of like a different way to go about this and get people to, maybe click on the video and, have a good time with it. That's always the idea. So here we are. This is the rules reference. I have never read through like a single one of this outside of like very, very specific scenarios. So we have the Marvel Champions of card game, the rules reference 1.6, and there's a ton of like little updates. They say that the rulebook has been updated in certain ways, but we're going to get into it. So we have an index here of essentially every single keyword or things we want to find if we're talking about things on cards and whatnot. And yeah, as you can see, there is a ton of content here. So we're just going to start through this on page 4 is where it starts. Document is a definitive source of rules that does not teach players how to play the game. The majority of the books consists of a glossary which provides an alphabetical listing of terms and situations which may be encountered. The sections should be the first destination for players with rules questions. The 3 appendices at the end of the book I understand, but implicitly, but not something I'd really gone into the weeds for. Player card abilities cannot resolve during game setup unless prefaced by a setup timing trigger. I did know this. It's the reason why stuff like weird, like with Vision, he only draws up to 5 cards in his hand instead of 6, because it doesn't have the setup keyword. That is a really weird one, but it is true. Okay. Oh, okay. The resolution of the following ability types, so large on there. The resolution of the following ability types is mandatory. Constant abilities, setup abilities, when revealed abilities, when defeated abilities, forced interrupt, forced response, boost abilities, and keywords. If one of these ability types uses the word may, the part of the ability following may is optional. This makes sense. You always have to do the setups. You have to do the when revealed, defeated, forced interrupts, forced response. Like these all make sense. I wouldn't really say that's a rule. I don't know. The resolution of the following ability types is optional, and we know this because if there's no like forced action, which I think is a new term that they're adding into the game, forced interrupt, forced response, and like resource, like if they don't have like the force on it, it's completely optional. The player who controls that card, the card that has an optional ability determines whether or not to use that ability at an appropriate time. Any player can, I just need it handy with me at all times because yeah, I forget this. So some abilities have timing priority over other abilities. In order, the timing priority of abilities with the same triggering condition, which is important, is constant abilities, delayed effects, lasting effects, keywords, and all of those icons. Okay, so I think before status cards took priority over every single thing in the game. Now there's something that is above it, or I guess constant abilities, keywords, and the icons were always first. So all of these have to happen first, then it's status cards, then forced interrupt, then boost when defeated or when revealed, then forced response, then consequential damage. See also, oh my goodness, look how many things it references. Action, alteration effect, and cancel delayed effect, forced. That's crazy. Okay. Simultaneous trigger priority. I need this as a little icon and just carry it around with me until I have it memorized because it's very, very important. Delayed effects, lasting effects, constant abilities are probably something I need further clarification. It's probably what this is for. Acceleration icon. An acceleration icon represents additional forces that are advancing the villain's nefarious plans. During step 1 of the villain phase, plus X additional threat on the main, where X is the number of acceleration icons in play. An acceleration icon can be removed from play by defeating the enemy encounter card it is printed on. Acceleration icons are not considered acceleration tokens and vice versa. I did know this when I was looking up Deadpool rulings. And acceleration tokens are functionally equivalent to acceleration icons, but they are not considered acceleration icons. They are placed next to the main scheme as a reminder to add X additional threat to the main during step 1 of the villain phase, where X is the number of acceleration tokens in play. They enter play during 2 effects. The encounter deck is empty, you place one on the main scheme, or cards effects may instruct the players to add an acceleration token into play. Their acceleration tokens are placed on cards other than the main scheme, still add threat to the main scheme during step 1 of the villain phase. Acceleration tokens on the main scheme cannot be removed from play, unlike other tokens when a main scheme card leaves play. The acceleration tokens, so this is pretty important, this is something I understood, like something like Zola's test counters or like Magneto's magnet counters, they do leave play when a main scheme card leaves play. Acceleration tokens never leave play, and I did know this. Are placed on cards other than the acceleration tokens placed on cards other than the main scheme are removed from play when that card that are placed leaves play. Makes sense. Acceleration tokens are not, yeah, and vice versa. Okay, let's get on to action here. Action is a type of triggered ability. Players are permitted to trigger action abilities during their turn or by request during other players' turns. This is a big thing for multiplayer. You can call actions during other players' turns. Players can only trigger action abilities on cards they control or on encounter cards. Players cannot trigger action abilities on obligations and other players' players. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. We're going to activation now. There are 2 types of enemy activations, an attack activation and a scheme activation. Whenever an enemy attacks your scheme, it's considered to have activated. That is true. During step 2 of the villain phase, the villain activates once per player in player order. If the identity of the player resolving the activation is in hero, they attack. If they're in longer, if an effect activates during... See, this is an interesting... I don't really know what it's referring to here. So I don't really know if it's a rule I don't know or not. I assume there might be encounter cards. It's like the villain activates again, or like the villain activates after this, but usually they'll specify after. So I wonder what scenario this is referring to. Active player. The player taking their turn during the player phase is the active player. Okay, makes sense. Additional. See alteration effect. Okay, well, we're not going to see that right now. After. The word after refers to a game occurrence that just concluded. Many response abilities use the term after to specify the time at which they can be used. Okay, cool. Then we will do, what's it called? Then we will do, look into a little bit on my own time, because what could it possibly mean by that? I'll have to like maybe just search through and cards and see what it means by this. So individual effects connected by and are not dependent on each other. Resolve as much of each as possible. Each effect connected by and can be canceled. So for example, if you have a card that doesn't have an attack or thwart trait that says deal 5 damage to an enemy and remove 3 threat from a scheme. So you can resolve as much. They're not dependent. So if you can't actually deal 3 damage, you can still do the threat. I think is what it's saying. But like the stunning confuse would cancel the card anyways. I don't know. Arrow icon cost arrow. Okay. Aspect card. A card in the aspect classification are any cards that belong to the aggression, justice, leadership, and or protection aspects. When building a player deck, a player must choose one of the 5 aspects: aggression, justice, leadership, protection, or pool to use as for customization. The remainder of their deck, the portion not allocated to their identity specific, can be customized with cards that belong to the chosen aspect. The card's aspect is designated by the aspect's name printed at the bottom of the card in its deck building classification area. Cool. Okay, assault. When a character makes a basic thwart against a scheme with the assault keyword, that character uses its attack instead of its thwart. If the thwarting character is an ally, it takes the consequential damage list under the attack instead of the thwart after the thwart. Abilities that increase a character's basic power can be used to increase that character's attack when that character's interesting. So it's enemy attack. If enemy has any boost cards remaining, repeat these steps with the next boost card. 4. Deal damage. Okay, so that was just step 3. Okay. Deal damage from the enemy's... Deal damage from the attack equal to the attacking enemy's modified attack value. Deal damage from the attacker's modified attack value based on the following. If the hero makes a basic defense against the attack, the amount of damage dealt is reduced by that hero's defense value, and the remaining damage from the attack is dealt to the hero. The defending hero is considered to have been attacked. If the hero with the tough status makes a basic defense, that damage is first reduced by the defense value. If the damage reduces 0, they keep their tough. An ally defends against the attack. All damage from the attack is dealt to the ally. If the ally is defeated, the additional damage does not carry over to the identity. Defending allies can for sure as a ruling I did not know, so that will be okay. That's just attack. Okay, attacks against allies. Keep it going. Some effects cause a villain or minion to attack an ally directly. When this occurs, the undefended damage from that attack is placed on that ally. It's placed on the ally that was attacked. The player who controls that ally is considered the attacked player. Abilities that resolve while /when after the attacking enemy attacks you resolve against the attacked player. Any boost abilities that refer to you refer to the player who controls the attacked ally. Players may so any abilities that refer to you any boost abilities that refer to you refer to the player who controls the attacked ally. So that's a boost effect thing. Players may defend these attacks as normal by declaring their hero or attacks as a defender. If attack is overkill defeats an ally, whether or not an ally is attacked ally or a defending ally, any excess damage from an attack is dealt to the identity of a player who defeated the ally. So even if you're an alter ego. Base value. Defined value before modifiers are implied in most cases. It's also the printed value. Basic cards. Cards in the basic knowledge here, where that's why all the attachments say they get 1 consequential when they activate against you. Or some of them do. So I think card types. This one's pretty interesting. Character. Identities, hero, alter egos, allies, villains, and minions are all characters. Pretty important. That's something I didn't know for the longest time. So I went back and forth when we had like Ultron's under attack. It's dealing damage to each character. I'm like, oh, it's only my allies. No, it's everything. It's everything. Choose game element. The phrase choose a game element is ally, minion, or scheme indicates a player must select a game element that meets the requirements. The player resolving that ability uses the word choose is the player that makes the choice sets out of the card. The player card ability requires choosing of one or more targets, and there are no valid targets for any part of the ability cannot be initiated. Let me reread this. If a player card ability requires the choosing of one or more targets, and there are no valid targets for any part of the ability cannot be initiated. So yeah, it's just saying like you have to have a minimum of one. You can't just like fumble cards out of your hand just to like misactivate them. If multiple targets are required to be chosen by the same player, simultaneously choose as many as available to a maximum of the specified number. An effect that can choose any number of targets does not successfully resolve if 0 of those targets are chosen. So even if it says any number, you still have to have one target chosen. It's pretty interesting. So choose as a game element and choose as an option. This is interesting. Some abilities instruct the player to choose between multiple options. For example, choose either take one damage or discard a card. Okay, this is like the encounter card one. When an encounter card requires a player to choose an option, they must choose the option they can resolve. If they cannot fully resolve an option, they must choose an option they can most fully resolve. When a player card requires a player to choose an option, they cannot choose an option that cannot be at least partially resolved. This includes options that have a cost the player cannot play or require one or more targets when there are no valid targets. Okay. Makes sense to me. For example, if there's something like in the ship command, when you have to exhaust the Milano, if you can't exhaust the Milano, you have to choose one of the other ones. Classifications. A card's classification is a group that belongs to us determined by specific attributes. Interesting. Cards in the identity-specific classification are cards that belong to the identity set. Cards that are in aspect are cards that belong to the aspects. Okay. Cards that are basic are not associated with an identity. Cards that are scenario-specific are talking about the scenario sets accompanying cards. Cards in a modular encounter set or modular set classification belong to that modular set. Cards in the campaign-specific are for the campaign. Cards that are in the standard classification are cards that are added to most scenarios. It's a standard, the standard encounter set. Cards that are in the experts, I did not know this. So this is just ally consequential. Okay. For example, the ally is not considered wild. Okay. Dash value. A value presented as a dash indicates the value cannot be used. If it has a dash as its cost value, that card cannot be played and can only enter played through other means. If the character's power, attack, defense, recovery scheme, or has a dash value, the character cannot use that power. Game set or card ability references the value of a dash. That value is an unmodifiable 0. Deal side dealing encounter card. During step of the villain phase, each player is dealt one face down encounter card. If a card ability instructs the player to be dealt an encounter card, the player takes the encounter card face down. Card is not revealed at this time. Card is added to the queue of cards that resolve during the villain phase. If a player is dealt an encounter card during step 3 or 4 of the villain phase, the extra encounter card is added to the queue of cards that are being dealt and revealed in those same steps. Interesting. I think this came up the other night, but yes, that's something I learned the other night where I used to play it where if you got dealt an encounter card, you had already finished resolving all of yours, you wouldn't actually go back to resolve it and wait until next turn. No, it does resolve that same turn, which is pretty interesting. Here we have deck. There are 4 main types of decks that appear in the game: the player deck, the encounter deck, the villain deck, and the main scheme deck. Interesting. Certain identities. Villain decks is when you have multi-villain scenarios. Certain identities or scenarios may add other decks to the game. The order of cards in the deck cannot be altered unless the player is instructed to do so by a game step, game function, or game ability. Cool. Deck customization: defense, basic power, defense, defeat. If the character has 0 remaining hit points or if a side team has no player on it, it is defeated. If an ally remaining or side team is defeated, it is discarded. Identity or stage of villain is defeated, it is removed from the game. Interesting distinction there. Okay, defend, defense. During enemy attack, a player may defend against the attack using cards they control. Only one player at a time can defend against an enemy attack. While the player is defending, other players cannot defend the same attack. A hero can use a basic card to defend an enemy attack. A hero must exhaust to use his power. The amount of damage dealt by this attack is reduced. So it's not just the amount of damage taken. The amount of damage dealt is reduced by your defense. And while any remaining damage is any remaining damage is dealt to that hero, while a hero is defending an attack, other friendly characters cannot defend that attack. When a character ability says to declare a hero the defender of an attack, that hero is considered to be making a basic defense. Okay. An ally can exhaust to defend an enemy attack. Damage from that attack is dealt to that ally. When an ally defending an attack, other friendly characters cannot defend that attack. When a card ability says to declare an ally the defender of an attack, an ally becomes a defender. Okay. When a player, oh man, defense is so long. When a player initiates a trigger ability labeled as defense, such as hero interrupt defense during an enemy attack, the player identity becomes defender of the attack. It's considered to defend the attack if there's not already a defender. Player's identity is considered to be the defender as his defense labeled ability begins resolving. Plays a trigger when your hero defends against an attack. It can be triggered when resolving defense labeled ability. We do this. Playing defense labeled ability is not a basic defense. It's not called a hero to reduce the amount of damage dealt by that hero's defense. Yes, okay. Unless specified by an ability's text, a hero does not exhaust when using a defense labeled ability. Defending player may resolve any number of defense abilities during enemy attack as long as the triggering conditions are met. Once a player resolves defense labeled ability during enemy attack, other players cannot resolve defense labeled abilities with that same attack. Defense labeled abilities can be played. Defense labeled abilities can be played during an attack. Defense labeled abilities can be played during an attack by a player whose ally is defending an attack. Defensive abilities can be played during an attack by a player's ally is defending an attack. In that case, the player's identity does not become the defender. A player can trigger abilities. Maybe if there's like defense keywords, like maybe like Wanda's shield, like when an ally maybe has a defense keyword. I don't know if it does or not. When an ally or character taking damage, reduce effect 3 or whatever. So maybe that's what it means. A player can trigger abilities labeled as defense outside an attack if the ability triggering condition is met. When triggered this way, the identity is not considered to have defended an attack. Okay. But the game means because there's sometimes attack defense trade cards that have both, so you're not a defender if you're using the attack part of it. If a player defends against an enemy attack that targets a different player, either by defending with a control or resolving a defense ability, the defending player becomes a new target of that attack. Any triggered ability refers to you, refers to the player who was the target of the attack when that ability resolved. For example, the you ability that triggers when the enemy attacks you refers to the player whom that attack initiated, while you ability that triggers after the enemy attacks you refers to the player whose character defended the attack. This is super good and super great to have in right here. 100%. Even though if there a way we can even have that happen, I have no infinity. That'd be a fun challenge to try and do. What scenario do we manage that? I have no idea. We need like gambit, like cards. I don't think possible. I put this in here as a joke. Okay, encounter set. Encounter set is grouping encounter cards. Four types of encounter sets: scenario specific, modular, the standard, expert set, and a player phase. Okay. Then the player phase following actions from the following set. In their order, each player must discard any number of cards in their hand and must start down to their hands and have more cards in their hand. Each player simultaneously draws up their hand size. Each player simultaneously readies all their cards. And then we get to these two, which is really important. This is something I learned recently. Any effects that last until the end of the player phase end resolve any when such after the player phase ends. So any cards like regroup or like cards like sneak attack or whatever. I think they discarded. The one that bounce allies back to your hand is after you have drawn up again and discarded. So you do get an extra card in your hand. Super good. I did know this one though. Enemy here. When enemies when your villain uses a descriptor, enemy refers to elements that belong in the scenario, any cards, enemy abilities, etc. Okay. Then we're going to continue on. Energy resource. Energy resource is one of the 4 types. They use to pay for resource cost abilities. So abilities specifically require energy resources to resolve. Okay. Engage. When an enters playing player engages that player, must otherwise specify by the minion or by the effect that put the minion into play. The minion engages that player who's resolving the current encounter card. Engaging or engaging the same player until defeated. Remove a player or card ability causes it to change engagement. Card ability instructs the player to engage the minion. That means also considered to engage that player. Interesting. When a minion is engaged with a player, card ability is not causing the minion to engage that same player again. Example, as the two are already engaged. Enters play. The phrase enters play refers to when a card transfers from the outer play area into play. Playing a card into play using a card ability or revealing a card from the encounter deck are all different means by which cards may enter play. Cool. An environment is encounter card type creates an overarching rule or set of rules for a scenario. An environment card enters play in the player and is active so long as it remains in play. An environment card enters play remains in play until a card ability or game effect causes it to leave play. Okay. So events. Events is a player card that is generally played for an instantaneous effect. Okay. So each of the player plays an event card. The player plays it face up on the table in front of them. The event is not in play. Pays its cost, resolves effects unless those effects are cancelled. Then places those cards in the owner's discard pile after those effects resolve or are cancelled. The effects of events are cancelled. The card is still considered to have been played and its cost remain paid. Only the effects are cancelled. Playing an event card from hand is always optional for a player unless the event uses the words. Playing an event card from hand is always optional for a player unless the event uses the word must in its play instructions. An event card cannot be played for cards or more targets and doesn't have target. Notice the card is considered to be an extension of an identity. Attacks or defense and action abilities and trigger abilities that result from players playing an event also considered to be performed by playing the identity. An effect modifies the amount of damage an event deals. The amount of event removes that event, and that event deals multiple instances of damage or removes multiple instances of threat. Each of those instances is modified. If an effect modifies the amount of damage an attack deals rather than an event initiates multiple attacks on the first. So okay, that's what I was wondering earlier, and it's a good one to go ahead and get down again. So again, here, so yeah, this is like event modification. That's really interesting. Okay, so there's definitely cards in the game that say that event deals like X damage more to the amount of cost or whatever, or like big and shrink from its marble. So that's really cool. But if you don't use that attack or that word, it's only one instant if it's 2 multiples. That's really cool and interesting. I know that. When I play it like that, I didn't know the inner workings of why. Excess damage is any amount of damage that is dealt to a character beyond the character's main hit points. Okay, makes sense. Exhausted card is exhausted for 90 degrees. Exhausted card cannot be exhausted again until it's ready. Card is technically ready by game set card ability. Card ability and exhausted card is still active though and still interact with the game state. However, if the exhausted card must exhaust to pay the cost, it cannot use that until it's ready, which makes sense. The expert set is an encounter set that is added to scenarios during expert mode. It's not a modular counter set, cannot be selected. Randomly when a scenario requires a player to choose a modular counter set to include a scenario. Cards in the extra classification cards of expert printed in the bottom of the card into counter set name area. Fine. So this is a new keyword. When instructed to find the card, players each game area where the card could be found. Play area, set aside area, player deck, discard pile, counter, etc. Players should not necessarily search game areas if they know where the card they are looking for can be found. So they should look in the counter notes in discard pile. All game areas are subject to search and resolving to find instructions with the following exceptions. Face down counter cards. The victory display, cards have been removed from the game. The player's instructed to find and reveal a minion that is already in play. That player engages that minion and results in keywords or trigger abilities that may result in that minion being revealed. So that means revealed. That minion takes all attacks and tokens. That minion is not considered entering play. That minion is considered to engage that player until it's already engaged. Here, especially on the minion ones, you have like night cards that find as they use or rare as one of these things. Yeah, this is like important info to know. I didn't know that it moves, so if it's defined, you can like move it if it's already in play. I thought it would just like fizzle essentially. That's really interesting. And also find is not just all being thing. Face down counter don't count. Victory display doesn't count. Cards have been removed from the game. Really, really interesting. First player. First player determines the players at the beginning of the game. The first player tokens indicate which player is the first. At the end of the round, there's the round phase. The first player moves to the next clockwise player who becomes the first player in the next round. The first player eliminated, the first player immediately casts clockwise. Basically, the first player work together. The first player decides the following. The counter card chooses a player card and multiple targets. The first player selects among those options. The counter card requires a card ability to be resolved. The game can be reformed. Or choosing it as not specified choice act. The first player does it. If four more effects result simultaneously, the first player decides the order. First player has time priority in the following situations. The first player has the first opportunity to use and interrupt at each appropriate game moment. Interrupt opportunities then proceed among the remaining player order. The first player has the opportunity to use and respond at each appropriate game moment. Response opportunities then proceed among the remaining player order. Cool. Flip. When instructed to flip the card, turn the card upside down to the face, so that the face always faces now face down. That's mouthful. As a foldable three-sided card, not considered to have flip anytime. Foldable three-sided card is considered to have flip anytime the face upside of the card changes. When a card flips, the face of the card. When a card flips, the face side of that card has the same type as the previous face. The card routine all attacks set with tokens. Different type from the previous face. All attacks and tokens are discarded. Intrinsically new as a new rule for each. For each indicates an effect is repeated based on the number of countable game elements. An effect for each requires a target. That effect requires an effect applies to a single target unless the for each clause includes a choose instruction. For example, an effect for each trajectory, look at this way, remove one from a scheme, and remove from a single scheme. Alternatively, an effect for each operating control, choose enemy, deal 2 damage for it. It allows you to choose a different enemy for each target. Okay, that's pretty interesting. None of this. Before each effect, without choosing instruction, deals damage or removes, considered a single instance of damage or threat remove. If it does have a choose instruction, each iteration affects considered a separate instance of damage or threat removal even at the same target. That is pretty interesting. I did not know, so we'll go ahead and add that before each ruling. Cool. And then another ability modifies a for each effect that modifies applies to each instance of the for each. For example, flurry blades an event that has the effect for each side counter choose enemy deals 2 damage to it. If modified effect is that event deals additional damage, flurry blades deals 3 damage to each chosen enemy. Cool. Force the bold force the word. If the word force receives a trigger ability, then ability initiation is mandatory. Force ability requires a resolve. This target does not initiate. Any cost would have been paid to initiate the ability or not paid. For any given turn condition, the force interrupts take priority. Initiate before the non-force interrupts. Any force take priority before any non-force responses. If 2 or more force abilities initiate the same one, the determines the order in which the initiator controls the card. Each force ability must resolve before the next ability being triggered. Must take trigger initiate. Form change form. A player may either all 3 or 4 random times and keep their identity card. Once during each round, during the turn, change form by flipping their identity card. When a player changes form, only the form changes. The character changes the same damage. That is card lasting effects. Attaches tokens at current state, ready or exhausted. The card ability causes the character to change form. Does not count against the one voluntary form change during the round. When players in your form cards ability interact with them, can also get their own zone. Cards with the type form keyword. Cards with the type form keyword grant an identity unique form. These forms are the digit by the form they come in with their own vision for changing. Identity change their form does not count as one for living, but it does have the changing form for the purpose of triggering card effects. We didn't know like second identity form is renewable. Cards with text type form only player print to play. While players identity is in the specified form. Finally, the blank for cards that players control. Games. If a card gains characteristics as a trait, keyword, ability, text of the card, functions as if it possesses the game characteristics. Game characteristics are not considered printed on the card. I think this game is interesting because there are multiple ways that this can come up and like, affect the game state. So I will go ahead and add that one. Game element. The game element is a component or person involved in playing role game. Game element. The cards of deck is across the hands and hands the players and generates resource gets. Card ability causes the character to get a statistic such as plus attack or 4 hit points. Ability modifies the characteristic while it's active. Such ability expires when the modified statistic refers to the value of the modifier. Such ability causes the character to get hit points and modifies the character's hit points when active. It also modifies the character's maximum hit points while active, which we didn't know. Guardian. When all character with the card keywords engage the other character cannot use cards equal to attack ability without this keyword. Hand size. Each character has the player face either starting on the hand size, starting on 2 or drawing up their number indicating the hand size value. When drawing up the hand size, each player draws card when the time checking each card's hand size. Hazard icon. Exactly the zone phase. For each hazard icon on cards in play, deal 1 player, 1 additional counter card, not 1 card per player. Additional counter cards dealt with their order. First additional first, second additional second, etc. Heal. Ability heals the character. Damage the character has sustained can be removed from that character. A heal effect can only bring a character to hit points unless it's physically can bring a character to maximum. Effects that move damage off a character are considered to heal that character. It's interesting. I'm not really sure what you need to specify what wording have got messed up, but it is interesting nonetheless. Okay, hinder when a card with a hinder keyword, just play extra on the card, extra minus the hinder keyword. Okay, big section here. So bit of real water quick. Alright, let's see this one. Hit points. Each character identity element in the villain has a hit point value. Hit points are the durability of that character. When a character is damaged to the character, reduces the character's hit points. When the character hit points, it reduces 0 hit points. The first starting hit point reverses to hit point. And then it goes point down to remaining hit points. When the villain's damage, you apply the hit point dial. If hit point reduces 0 to defeat, there reduces 0 level stage defeat. Now enemy is damaged, track the damage by placing token like character. On now enemy reduces their hit points by the tokens when they hit 0 or fewer hit points. If you hit points, some characters may have infinite number of hit points. Infinite number of hit points, not defeated by damage. The amount of damage that character takes will never cause remaining hit points to be 0. However, they may still be dealt to a character with infinite. However, damage may be dealt to attacking card abilities. Icons. Icons graphical elements represent various functions in the game. Energy icon, energy icon, research energy. These are all the generic icons, amplify icons, crisis hazards. Is there anything we know here? Consequential icons, function. Now icons takes concept free icon there per player. Is something I know. Go to that identity. Identity is a player card type that represents which character a player is playing in the game. A player's identity card is double-sided. That represents the hero on one side and the other. That side that is face up indicates a form. Hero alter ego player from the enemy player means alter ego. The card refers to hero alter ego by title. It refers only to the identity with that title and not to the other side of the card. Identity card cannot be started in play. Face up side identity card side identity card is play. The face down card, face outside identity card is out of play. That's really interesting things. Really a rule I didn't know. Identity specific card. Cards in the classification are cards of the long side set of the community card. It must include each of these cards. So you have identity cards icon. You must include the deck. Identity cards on each card cards that use on identity that shares an icon that set. And identity card is identity icon in the bottom corner. Identity cards are specific cards. In out of play. Okay, a little bit here. In out of play, cards are considered to be either in play or out of play depending on the state within the game. Cards in play, text is active and can affect the game. Play cards of physical cards identity is in play. Face ally cards, support cards are play, play with the play. For cards side, face side of the top of the deck, face side of the top of the main card, face attack card, card side teams, and play open players are in play. Card play when it moves now to the area. Card abilities only interact with only target cards are in play unless the ability text otherwise. Card abilities of all types of cards except event cards and treasure cards can only initiate or affect the game while they're in play. When they're in play, unless it's referred to be used in the area. Cards outside have game side cards in play. Cards that text and active the game. Cards are implicitly resolved from an out of play area by virtue of the rules pertaining to those card type. Cards in play are out of play. Cards in counter discard on the deck. Other cards maintain face on counter cards are out of play. Face on cards attached to in play area cards. In play cards are out of play. Cards have been removed from the game or set aside are out of play. A card that leaves the player when it moves from the player to an out of play area. Cards outside have game side face on cards out of play. That's a lot that makes sense. In player order, if player forms the player order, the player forms a part of the sequence first, followed by the cards
cards all the other players in clockwise order. If the sequence performed in order does not conclude, if the sequence order does not conclude after each player performed the sequence once, the sequence of opportunity clockwise until it's complete. The first next player always refers to the next clockwise player order. Insight X. When a card with insight X keyword is revealed, place X around the main team, X is the value of the insight keyword. Indirect damage is the section that needs to be pay attention to. Some cards abilities deal indirect damage. Indirect damage can be dealt to a player and can be divided as that player chooses among characters they control. Indirect damage is dealt to a group player or among players divided as you choose among characters in play. All indirect damage from a single source is assigned and then resolved simultaneously. Good. I can confidently play with indirect damage now at this point. That is all I need to know. So for example, when I fight Sandman, you have heroes tough status. I would always put. I thought it wasn't something, so I would put, like, I don't know if I played incorrectly when I'm not rewind. What I would do is I would put one damage on top. I would play tough status and call it indirect damage. That's not true. As long as I have enough hit points to put indirect on the tough to eat it. Characters that cannot take damage cannot be assigned indirect. Indirect damage is the player cannot be assigned any character that controls. That damage is ignored. That's really just like Shadow Cat can't take damage or something. If an enemy's attack deals indirect damage, indirect damage is dealt during step 4 of the enemy's activation. After the opportunity to defend attack. Only the defending character will be attacked by player's identity. If the attack is considered an attack, even if all the characters are assigned some or all the indirect damage. So good to know. For example, if you take 5 indirect damage, you control an ally 4 hit points remaining. You may assign 4 indirect damage ally, doesn't indirect damage to your identity. Interesting. Okay. If they point on salary, initiating this one seems to be easier. Let's see this. When a player wishes to play a card or initiate a trigger ability, first because they're attacked, the player checks the following in order. Check player restrictions and the party player ability initiates time. If the card ability specifies one card, checks the if the card ability is not one of the turn the cost of the card or initiate the ability and the ability to play them ability to account. If both conditions are met, follow these steps in order. If playing the card, if playing the card facing the table from them, apply any modifiers to the cost, pay the cost, set the paying the cost. If it's set and the cost played is more cost as well paying the cost. The card is being played or the effects of the ability attempt to initiate. The card is played or the ability if not cancelled in the previous step resolves. The card enters play or wait the card the card enters play or if the card effects resolved and is resolved and is placed on the ability above set the triggering condition interrupted true. The ability may be initiated before the triggering condition becomes true. The above set the triggering condition the ability response true. The ability initiated immediately after that triggering response becomes true. The ability initiated on the card is in place, does not stop from completing the card needs play. During the sequence of turns. There's a ton of things. I don't know if there's a rule here. I don't know. I just think the mechanics of how you play cards or initiate abilities. That was a lot. Not that. Interrupt abilities. Type of trigger ability. Indicating both interrupt time trigger. Interrupt abilities may be executed at any time. The specific triggering condition occurs as describing the ability interrupt text. The interrupt ability interrupts the resolution of the triggering condition resolved immediately before that triggering condition resolves. There's only interrupt abilities are control and not interrupt abilities obligations of the players. Multiple interrupts trigger the same triggering condition. Each interrupt can only trigger once per multiple interrupts may be triggered by the same triggering condition, but each interrupt can only trigger once per occurrence of the triggering condition. Multiple copies of the card with interrupt each triggered by the same triggering condition. Interrupt ability executed. Interrupt ability executed when the triggering condition initiates, but before the triggering condition resolves. Opportunity to interrupt occurs before resolve is interrupts that use the word would resolve before the triggering condition initiates when that condition becomes imminent. Once all players have completed pass on the opportunity to interrupt triggering condition, further interrupts specific condition triggering not used. Interrupt changes the replace effect or cancels imminent triggering condition. Further interrupts the original triggering condition cannot be triggered. This is pretty interesting. I won't note this one down. For example, if there was like multiple interrupts like in play order, it was like let me see, so like it was all in play order, right? So like multiple interrupts once there's something passed, not to interrupt during condition. So it's interesting, so like maybe even interrupts like something cancels steam, but somebody interrupts like one enemy steam, so that goes away, you can activate it. And this one's still confusing for sure. Yeah, I don't know how to this one. Go to the next. Keywords. Okay, so this is like a logical keyword again. Keywords is not activate specific card. Means multiple instances of a keyword, and instances has no effect unless the keyword is solved by a number. Example under X, like X, in which case the number of instances are added together. Cool, so like double words, if you have like one, you gotta tell you have 3. So we have lines, cool, that, solve, cool, that, for, cool, that, card, cool, that, cool, name, card, keyword, side, until party parentheses bringing card to the game. Okay, cool, control, cool, paracool, cool, cool, quick strike. After this enemy engages the player, it immediately attacks the player. Cool. Requirement, cool, range, cool, play, cool, set, cool, city, cool, search, cool, team up, cool. Teamwork, trait, cool, temporary, cool. Time cool, use, cool, cool. Logical there. Label ability is a trigger ability with parenthetical following the full trigger that designates the ability to attack the player. Result ability attack is considered to be attack identity. It's the defense of the identity. Such ability initiate during attack during defense defender. When player resolve ability to support makes sense. There's also multiple labels. It's considered each of the label ability and all the identity. Triggering label ability is status card. That cancels any label ability entirely except for cost. It's canceled identity. Each set for ability that cancels any of the each set for ability that cancels any label ability such as rule abilities cancel. For example, the attack or remove both the confused and stun status magnetic quite not is 100% worth it. I don't know how often it will come up, but yeah, this is pretty important, I think. So it's a label ability. I do like that. Cool, I got lasting effects. Some card lose effect conditions that are games for specific durations until the phase and attack effects lasting effects. Specific duration lasting effects were constant ability. Lasting effects persist beyond resolution of the ability created. The duration of the effect can change effect game for duration or not. That card is in play. Lasting effects at the same time period as constant effects. The card in play changes or changes criteria after activation. Lasting effect is still affected by lasting effect. Lasting effect expires as soon as the time point reaches research means playing around lasting effect just before and added the end ability. Initiate lasting effect. Expires the round. I think lasting effect is good. It's a good one I did not know and it's important to have verification. So we have lasting. Okay, so these these for any time a card transitions from in play area to out of area. The character is card play. Basically, card play or remove card from the game alternate card play. There's no memory state. It's considered a new copy of the card. The card passes to card restarted. Okay. We have limit expert blank. Is limit on some player cards. Limit cards each copy of ability within which such limits may be used X time to a specified period with perkins of that ability. It effectively means cancel the card is sorry. Effectively means cancel the card is considered play or limit areas. Limit expert period is a limit that appears in some player cards. These limit cards are each copy of ability so they may use X time to a specified period. Only one per face whatever. Anyways, link cards link not have no sex size. They play one card brings it play. Cool. Look at cards are election players. Only player who's only the card transfer information. Labels of players. Players get cards deck versus deck. After cards players deck in the same order loses. The card loses characteristics of the keyword or text. The card function as it is not designated characteristic. Lost characteristics it's still to be printed on the card. Lost characteristics not regained. While the ability causes loss effect. New effect would cause that characteristic to be gained. Doesn't really understand what characteristic rule I don't know, but it is what it is. New section. Main scheme. Main scheme is card type. Main scheme is the checked. For example, threat. Not by tactics. Not main scheme equals greater than the target value. Main scheme completed main scheme advances the advanced state. Main scheme advances other than direct equal. Main scheme is not considered completed. Main scheme advances other than direct is not complete. That's interesting. The main scheme advances all these rules. Remove the top team card from the deck. Control the colors on the card. To the total start attach all any one of the abilities on the side of the side. Flip the card main scheme to be placed on the card equals red value. And then resolve any one of the ability on the card. Main scheme advances express increases in number. Main scheme advances comes 2 player anyway. So main schemes. Cards max and maximum. The word max and maximum for the maximum number of copies of the card by title for all players. Max has for the maximum number of times that copy of the card can be played during the designated time period. The card with maximum cancel price still counted towards the maximum price. So it's probably getting added. So yeah, do max. Max expert deck restricts the number of copies of the card that may be attack. Maximum player is the player specific and restricts the number of copies that card that each player may control in a play at any given time. A player cannot control another copy of the maximum player card control. Maximum player control maximum copies of the card may be attached to each individual. For example, upgrade is maximum for ally. I like that. Most copy upgrade. Maximum for instance restricts the number of times can be triggered by single instance trigger effect across all copies of the card. For example, ability has attack maximum 1 per event. Only one card ability may be triggered per event. Play. The card equals a maximum of a value within ability equals maximum on the ability from the ability. Maximum in the form of maximum plus X plus only to ability that includes the parameter. For example, multiple abilities with text maximum plus 3 can be used in combination to increase a character's attack plus 3. So only affects the card not overall. A maximum in the form of 2 and maximum can X applies all those negative. For example, 2 maximum has 7 that player hand size 9 6 7 as a result of any ability. That's really interesting. That is in the requirements specifically. Maximum hit points. Here's maximum hit points. Is there base hit points plus or minus all the gets hit point modifiers that act on the character. May. The word may indicates that the player has options to resolve the text that follows. If no player specifies the option to control the card with the ability in question. That's a resource. Okay, we're gonna do that. Here we go. Minions. Minions and counter card type means represents the first ability ends of the hero. Means that just play immediately during the card in the card or resolve the ability to play unless the ability otherwise. Means just play immediately until it as your opposite started. Means engage the player activate one unit type and no other ability shooting. Or the ability has the your phone attack accuracy. The minion engages the player during activation with all means engaged with the minion engages the player during activation with all means engaged the player activation. Boost ability activate. The new engagement will also activate. It's very important. Also didn't know that. Mode play. For any more chance to customize your experience from my different play, you're limited by standard. Basic mode also heroes. Extra mode. Play extra mode. You just change the situation to extra. Extra also defined for rogue mode. Search campaign mode. Rogue mode is the extra kind of card for each level base. Look at this. Monitor mode, playing the players heroic levels, 1 4. Then remember game each player has that is craziness. That is craziness. Also, standard levels, so you just defeat one face done. And you can modify and you have to modifiers. The constantly check and update the time variable quantity is being modified. And modifiers are moving characters start considering modifier base value and all active modifiers. Calculation value, treat all modifiers being simultaneously power before calculation modifiers subtract modifiers before doubling or having modifiers calculated. The value set to a number. The set modifier overrides all non-set modifiers. Multiple set modifiers are set modifiers takes precedence. Modifiers is probably 3 section here, so we're going to update that. This is just like a hero or some modifiers are attacking certainly, so this is a 3 section. After all modifiers take into account the values below 0 is treated as 0. Target have negative icon attribute traits. After all modifiers take into account the values below 0 is treated as 0. They have negative icon attribute. After all modifiers after all modifiers have that's crazy. Okay, modifiers set modifiers set modifier set or custom power and scenario. During game setup, scenario instructs you to how you want to play. Modifiers set scenario set. Modifier set is a value set name. Move. Some of the modifiers move and just hard to damage and or direct. Now move to the same placement. There's no value for the same move. Move can it is possible for damage to move between dials and vice versa. You can dial card and damage with dials with card. If you take one dials upside down, let's say my card damage card move damage with character to be dealt to that character. That's important move that. So not known that 36 32 is to be dealt. First move to be dealt. Move to be placed on that team. Okay. There's a set. Setting comes to the game set aside the set play for the main structure how you set to play set is set. Don't use all the identity. Non-miracle variable. Non-miracle variable so there's symbols in your value. Variable equals 0 for the game set. Sequence of non-miracle value is defined. Defined value is defined x. Variable is defined value. For problem where x value x is defined by card or your choice after the modifier value. Cool. Obviously, we can cover that also you don't have to overcome. Building obligations that you or only the player's player values in. Okay. This enemy is associated with values card. All that is values card. Doing stuff. Next values card. Part of this enemy's set. Next values card use. Values card is revealing card values. Must give to a player to give to your obligation. Place values into that player equals then the other side of obligation. Values cannot give stuff for any reason or building name revealing card. That's crazy. The player reveals values card values is not instructed to the player. That player place values is talking about all obligations. Makes sense. The player values card the player is not instructed. It's not instructed to the player based on your player next obligation. Other values of the player trigger cost obligation. Player values of the player values of the player. Player not values unless they're hand to hand side. I wonder why this includes scenarios. Other than 0 0 place starts to otherwise, otherwise resolve only if the effect cannot resolve. The effect cannot get resolved. The other effect resolved. Overkill is important. What overkill is using control the action has it. Overkill is an damage x and x damage by attack with overkill keyword. Strategy deal damage equals the x amount of damage of the player which will means something damage by attack. So keyword strategy deal damage equals the x damage. So overkill damage relates to the attack. Does not consider attack against that character. The card ability counts damage counts value x damage attack with keyword. Not only the top side damage and I mean the top side damage. Overkill keyword damage not the identity the controller or the villain respectively. Okay. Cool. I'll learn that's totally important. Okay. Okay, ownership and control. Card owner is the player who's acting card at the start of the setup. Scenario is the owner. Scenario is the owner. Card owner is the owner. Control card. Control by player. Upgrades actual card controlled by player. Other than upgrades owner are controlled by the other player. Interesting. Upgrades actual card controlled by player. So I mean, other than upgrades owner controlled by so some gives you a basic control that card. Another control can be the card upgrade. They card upgrade control cards again. Another control that card. The control between custom and control control the cards. Control cards and all players stand in the card. This control use play. After which the game cards that basically players go out the area and there's a game. Other cards don't have the same cards. If you control in the same state, is that way it's not control area. Upgrade card that change control also change control to same control. Upgrade card that change control to also change control. Ability that changes control or cards used to be affected control. But these are the rest of the card you before player control card first card control. Interesting. Control that's so much word there. That's all you know. Control. When you put your engage player card equals to 14. Perfect icon. Number of the icon next to the icon number of players scenario. Hero. While player card player not player and player not play card trigger abilities. Permanent. Card trigger ability card card like set by card in the same hero set. For example, the card that the set to be play. Makes sense. Card set set. Card after set another card. Now card play card set card. But set card is not card in the game. Or card not in the player. Card is not file. Okay. So here's the card starting before game. Play and play. Play card involves play card players card play or play player's hand. So these cards put into play the card restrict the card playing card put into play card text only play or put into play in form when event card is played. But on table also notice about. Card is put into play is not to play. Card is put into play ignores it just costs. Card when put into play is ignored. Unless otherwise stated by the player card put into play must do so when the player or state matches the rules of the playing card. Player two players player player is hand card and card face down card players in the card. Players like making card card them not enter players side environments. Or not play one player time. There's no provisions. Then card relates to instructions pertain to how they be used so this may be used. In order to use another card all restrictions to play permission optional restriction which other player card so permission restriction which other player card using tiny restrictions for the right game for example permission by allowing you to play this card. Interesting. Okay. A player is a person who's playing the game or area. When player is trying to play card matches usually. Each only cards the power contained in the card start game. Only twice the thing. Some games setting for the first player. First player card seven different event and features for number. There are many applications such as card player card most player card. Player can features for number. Your card player changes and and features surrounding deck that are used on the card. Player can use shuffles while player strong card and card player second. Player can player with strong card no card start from the deck. Player can no cards about. Player is not set. Player can no cards about. Player is not set until at least one card is around the card. That is crazy. I didn't know that. Again, those things how would you even know this? How would you know this? I have no idea how they do here. Okay, how do you do that? Player is card already. Just want to put this on here because it's really important. Because it's not but it happens enough to write. It's one of those here. Player can be the zero. Player can point and we're the other player from cards. The meaning those things like player routine attacks damage stats. Player are not owned by player. But those cards only about on permanent here. Like each own card and player and about. Oh, that's just like you have a person even under control. They play their own cards at the game. Remove the others and that's what I'm saying. Remove the others player each player within hand about playing. Player is continually. Then there's the two players on the game. Because there's only part of the ability resolve the entire ability. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Player fate. Player carries one player. As the player starts off and after the cards. There's resolve when after there's side teams. But the mistake is taking the their cards are going to second round play. Place them in the area. Then red. There's no second area and second area second area or starting to be second rules second rules second area. There's much players in one there's two there are two more players in the area. No player starts to one more. There's any actions in order you have to change from player cost. Before the player team and use basic card basic card. Is on card to attack your action to be actually on card play that control card play. Any card takes a lot of action ability to be rewarded. Never hand playing an action to be rewarded after the trigger an action to any action ability after you're on their own turn you can deliver inside of the action as well. Also upon the first player. There's the area. There's the area where any actions are allocated in the area. I'll play the area cards as the area. Or more cards are in your area. Allocation cards. There's the area in that area. Card list effect card across areas. Card list effect across areas game order 6 otherwise fight another player. Nothing limited. The game you're only the area protect. Okay, instantly. We're going to do here. We're going to power. So also this is how we're going to do that. Actually, this has how to protect. Some card protect damage prevent. When damage is prevented, reduce damage. The takes damage when effect prevents damage the takes reduce damage. Not just dealt therefore you take a very confusing keyword that just is very effect prevents damage. If all damage attacks prevented that character, all damage attacks prevented that character but it's not attack and damage. That's crazy. But doing damage cost. Cost 30 damage. All damage. Damage reduce 2 damage. It's doing damage cost. Cost 0 paid. And all damage. Damage cost 0 paid. All damage taken. Well, damage cost. That was not paid. All damage taken. Damage cost not paid. Where's the reduce effort? The time for defense. For day. For the first defense. The card. For the card. Use generate card ability. So as icon reduce card generate. Why would you not has other resources card. For the mental physical energy not get predicted by all cards. If you take multiple turns, the color applies each item for example. For each ready character attachment. Word ready applies both character attachment. That is generally referred to. But there you go. Push up. After you push engage the player, let it zero attack. So range. And attack range your type. Fair enough. Ready. Cards enter player ready. Stages like control right range ready card. Energy back place card. Card base card ego. Recover cost ego. Recover value. And has no damage not heal or form base card. Free. Cool. Important. Referential ability. So the first card name. Referential ability. First attack multiple the game. And first only for the next high sense is important. And go to keep in mind. So referential ability here. Okay, so in order to level 2, the card on the referential ability, for example, base Spider-Man ability, Spider-Man attack support, shooting another web warrior character. Ready after the first 2, card is the first number called Spider-Man attack support. Then the next one referential ability, card on the same and then the third phase is all other cards. Now, main characters not damage, take 4, which is represents that was the range to calculate the range of the start the character maximum and modify the this character this character game only the game rule game card the rule game says not right game and management rule because like research rule game the game this effect affect the effect which affect your ability format when turn into instead when affect is one turn and no other response effect is pretty important cancel or going to manage so this is effect. Now we have to require resources. Other parties resources like is cost of keyword not more resources required resources not paid for is really important. Especially trying to reduce the time and like cost of man. Because you play normally reduces cost making more resources. But if you run is not played in play. Something really cool. Resources are used to get off the card to pay for the cost. But resources get off the card and resources in the card. Therefore resources are now pay off card numbers equal to cost generate cost and resources pay. Later cost resources equal to cost generate resources price. Instead of generate cost. Generate cost loss and resources cost. Resources generate resources time for. Resources generate resources cost. Resources generate cost type cost number cost. For example, resources generate resources card number. Resources card resources generate resources or more resources card generate resources. Resources card active while using resources. Resources generate resources. Then the response. Good. Response is really response time really next after the first time the second card before card after all the combination of players multiple ones execute the same region but each one only for one card during the game like response like or any other when you capture the more attack response you can capture multiple times each one you like that earlier multiple cards response you can the same region response opportunity for the opportunity to respond opportunity to respond or attack once the opportunity sorry yeah opportunity to respond to the attacks ask to develop response so there are more cards to play at the same time and if you play card either range to power player going to and start card play X after card like attack attackers like your attack damage we have your point those like result later after the damage then attack damage during step 4 of the phase, each player will all face cards that have been dealt by more than 2 rounds. For game card, face card, face card, including anti-word and one of the effects. Result will be card based on the card type. And after the effects, the second area, the start, and the second phase, probably see this card, any card, result, when you card, when you card, say your class. Cool. When you structure in cards, there's a card, there's a card, zero must be each card associated, zero the card, zero the card, zero the card, and the card, zero cards, zero card, and over the next is the cards are not their card, rather than the card that means oh okay. There's a card is zero, which is pretty long. Team card, we're seeing the 3 card types, main team players and size. The way card is 18 player. There's other one which means size and effects. Cool. Team and activation. Okay. A team is a type of activation is the ability to use the result next to time or but it's also increasing by started and started to repeat like rank equal to the team market. Okay. Yeah. Structure to look at. When you structure each card is clear. Card is clear. Anyway, so there are card to use card to use card confusion. So like when you structure like all the card to the cool. Card to set set. Something card structure set card right hand right set your card structure set your card structure set the result during result set there's a set up really well fairly cool. So something other information is protect my mind just. Lord. I think the result is actually all the query of the context is real defense based on the amount of user value I think the value on terms of like the direct the single the result so we have really the center really the structure but that's all concept use very sort of use that move from that and that there's a concept is scenarios to my own concept that's sorry the concept is really use all it's all affected the box so basically now because the box when Martin and Fox when I know who's running on themselves on the direct starts in the actual attack the right attack box you can also attack that's box you need to check that box against that really game really power like 0 if it's finding cards you have to check protect box the license so that's cards are for example state finds game also use the game here's that card card there's not one more set of time here's your additional feature size you have to all their abilities are all to use that cancel board stands for that cancel attack for damage say you know just that use that here's not use that cancel all it so that cancel attack those are good that's here's you're selling to really take option another place so they like just so that's also attack attack you also attack no otherwise we do it school so then attack has attack action attack action rules that attack but now that's also use it support for the player attack for friends other things so everybody back over there so attack all the players attack for not to be combat identity it's attack damage okay so taking card is real card really card and also trigger real for the card the same damage never the international point for me the same damage for anyone for your national and starting with the analysis of the card I don't like the difference you swap swap points in swap computers not located also card and card protection card swap card is not considered wrong card is those really because yeah swap is something very mega question swap card is very structure and you're going to separate protection card you know they are really big card but with offering with other benefits you can actually like card and obviously so they want to support card not so okay we don't card directed the game function card directly on that that is only card that support the information example into the and mean now game function really card more like really function is for example is mean easier to are you card just pretty first you want to take card like the card also card really function really like spring around the game and we say really attack your function is okay the card really consider returning that ability to party really handle text for the value of the party there's not really the function that ability to party there's not ready so part that part for the that's not ready it's just party for not crazy for sure now 113 so I just want to be I don't know how into absorb this there's not ready for party there's not the attack is all for that really that for the first but you use and all for the ability to use and use and delta really can also type information something else not really all for any place that's you use basically because what's in the rooms case other movement no that for the
And that is the end there. We will look here to see if there's anything kind of spicy left. And so the FAQ, I think, could be a video on its own and could be really fun to go through. So we're not going to go through that. So I think the only thing really left is the setup is really important here. But I think if we would have slowed down by now and stopped and sold the roses, that was crazy. I don't know how long this video will be at the end of it. I think in pure recording time, we got through it in about 2.5 hours, which is insanity if you really truly think about that. Or actually 2.5 hours, was it 2 hours? I wonder how short or long the video will be at the end of it. Of course, as always, if you sat through this, if you learned something, regardless if it was a sped up meme version or it's this version, you like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. My voice is kind of shot. I'm going to go relax for a little bit. If you want to see the full thing in its entirety without being sped up, I will have an unlisted version in the description to go ahead and check out at your own, leisure. I thought it would just be funny, goofy, and some kind of different upload for today. Go ahead and leave a like down below if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you read them rules and play those rulings correctly. See you in the next one. Goodbye.